Hi, Abhinav, and everyone watching this video. My name is Harshith Krishnan, and I'm a recent MBA graduate from IIM Kozhikode. Just to give a brief about myself, I spent my formative years growing up in Hyderabad. I'm a qualified chartered accountant by profession before my MBA, and my work ex involves work. I worked in the deal advisory space with KPMG for around 2.5 years. And my pre-qualification, my articleship was with PwC in the audit and assurance department. Then apart from all my acads and professional stuff, I'm a sports and quizzing enthusiast. And yeah, good to have this conversation with you, Abhinav.
So tell us more about your CA journey.
Sure. So I think my love for finance or maths in particular started quite early. Then I think looking at the science portion of the syllabus, I was like, this is not something that I want to get into. And the commerce and accounts part of it attracted me a lot. So this led to me choosing MEC in my +1 and +2, which is maths, economics, and commerce. So that is the gradual step which people take prior to doing or pursuing a CA. So after +1 and +2, we have 4 levels in the CA course. So right out of the school, we do something called CPT or CA Foundation, as it's called now. That is the first stage, followed by CA Intermediate. After the clearing the first two exams, you need to do a 3-year articleship, which is what I pursued with PwC in their audit department. And after the 3 years, you're eligible to write the CA final, post which you get your complete qualification. So this was a bit about my CA journey.
So why did you choose MBA after CA?
Yeah, it's a very valid question, Abhinav, and I think a lot of CA aspirants or even people who have completed CA have asked me this. So I feel there are multiple layers to this question, right? So for the first thing is the opportunities, the horizons which basically an MBA opens up. Because in CA, I feel that my domain is kind of limited to finance. So when I want to transition to other departments or other fields, MBA really opens up that opportunity. Secondly, would be the global opportunities, right? Now, each country has its own regulations and own accounting, standards and rules. So when I do a CA, I'm kind of more limited to India and a few other countries which follow this role. Whereas an MBA gives me that global perception and that global understanding and knowledge where I can go and practice my stuff anywhere. And also one more important thing I would say is the college life, right? Now, hard skills, jitna bhi hum seekhte hain as a CA, soft skills definitely play a big role in life. This is a big difference which I have noticed moving from a CA to MBA, because the horizons, the interactions which you have with people coming from various domains, that really helps you in your career and longer as well. So these were a few reasons.
So like what exactly is the difference between a CA with an MBA and a without MBA?
Yeah. So a CA with an MBA, I would say, is like it's more like a marketing tool for you. Like it basically it gives you a key to many new doors, right? A CA without an MBA has to go knocking on all these doors, I would put it that way. Whereas when a CA gets an MBA degree, the door is already open. It's like you decide whether you want to enter into something or not. And apart from that, I think as you spoke about the soft skills angle as well, a CA when he does an MBA, I think it opens up the thinking, the thought process of a CA with an MBA is going to be completely more holistic and different versus someone who has not done it.
So is there any alternative to MBA for CAs to get the similar kind of opportunities, or it's only MBA?
So similar would be a tough ask, but there are definitely opportunities available for CAs, right? So firstly, if they want to get into something, if they wanted to get into core finance or investment banking or stuff like that, then there is always a CFA degree, right? Then apart from CFA, you also have CMA, which is the cost and management accounting angle. And also now, as I mentioned, each country has its own standards and rules, right? So they can go for a US CPA, or they can do a diploma IFRS and like venture into other countries as well. So I think what a CA needs to basically ask here is, right, are they willing? They need to do basically a opportunity cost analysis, or they need to do this cost benefit analysis. When am I willing to spend the 2 years of my life? What is the ROI I'm looking to get in return, right? And अभी हम जब ROI की बात करते हैं, it need not be pure financial, right? Now there is a family angle to it, because 2 years is a big investment. There's a family angle to it, there's a career angle to it, and there's a financial angle to it. So I think everyone needs to evaluate the decision to do an MBA on these three metrics vis-a-vis what they're planning to do otherwise. So that's a very important thought.
So since you went for MBA with a CA degree, so were there any specific roles in your mind for which you wanted to get into, like during your MBA placements, or you were open for everything?
Yeah. So to honestly answer this question, I wanted to get into investment banking, right? That was the main purpose of pursuing an MBA. Now, as you say, as people say, right? So like life changes every couple of years, or just an interaction can change your life. So during my MBA, the there's an order in which basically the companies come, right? It's basically like according to the merit or whatever you could call. Also, the interactions with the seniors, right? It basically opened me up, and I was more susceptible to understand about other domains. So during such interactions, I came across opportunities other than IB as well, which would actually help me not only immediately in my career but later on as well. Also, having said that, like just to put out the facts here, there are not many top front-facing IBs which come to IIM. So it's mostly the mid office or the back office kind of roles which come there. So you also need to evaluate whether you're willing to slog it out for 2 3 years in such roles prior to moving to a bigger or a larger role or a front office role. What you're looking for.
So similar thing happened to me. So prior joining to MBA, so I had a IT experience. So the only role which I could thought of was product management. But in the end, I went to join consulting. So I believe that like while joining MBA, you should not be very restrictive. So that this is the
Yeah.
only one kind of role that I want to get in, because there's not much choice there. So no matter what you think, so you have to be open with the job opportunities you get on the campus.
Very true, Abhinav. Also, just to add a point, right? Apart from choice, there's also, I believe, a strong matter of luck, right? Because your CV is going to be evaluated with a whole bunch of other people whom you have not met, whom you don't know what their interests are, who you don't know how capable they are, right? So when this matter of choice and luck becomes so restrictive, I think you need to, as you said, go with an open mindset, accept whatever comes. And one thing which people need to understand is your first placement is not the do all and end all, right? Your world doesn't begin or end there. So there is always the whole world ahead after that. So, like, be open to accepting whatever job or whatever domain comes your way. Try to give your best in that, and you can always jump to your interests.
So you were a merit scholar at IMK. So what are the things one should focus on during MBA?
Sure. So this is a good question because like when I started my MBA journey, right, I wanted to jump into everything. So let me give a few examples of what are the kinds of things an MBA can get into. First, there's academics, as you mentioned. Then we have student bodies, which will take up a lot of your time. Then we have case competitions. Apart from that, we have extracurriculars, right? In terms of like sports fest, attending so and so fest and all. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff we can do in an MBA. Now, like one important advice which I got as soon as I joined my MBA was you cannot excel at everything, right? So accept the fact that you're not going to be the best at all the things. Now what you need to do is according to your interest and according to where you see or what value the MBA is adding for you, you need to pick and choose a few areas where you want to spend most of your time on, right? Like it could keep changing from year to year or from term to term, but I think you need to focus on. See, for me, it was like if you honestly ask me, one of the main reasons to do an MBA was also the financial angle, right? Because MBA opens up, like, gives you a better package, opens up more opportunities, and all that. So in my term one, when we have our summer internships, my entire focus was on creating the perfect, like you can say the resume or the CV, working on my CV and on my interview skills. So that one, because I knew once I cracked that term one part of it, I could then do other stuff in term two and term three, right? And it follows on that if you do a good job in your summer internship and get a PPO, again, you can do whatever you want to explore in your second year. So that was the kind of thought process which I entered.
So like how to balance out the things?
Yes. Okay, like first of all, like I cannot be a hypocrite and say that, I have excelled at balancing everything. There have obviously there'll be distractions, we'll procrastinate. That is a very common thing which happens. But one thing which helped me balance is, as I said, understanding my priorities, right? So now when I talk about academics, I already knew that I was good at the finance subjects, or I was good at, say, some other strategy subjects, for example. So what I used to do is I used to balance or allocate my time in such a way that I used to give time for, the subjects which I was not good at or which I wanted to learn, which I had interest in but I did not know about. Similarly, if I talk about student bodies, initially I had applied for like all the student bodies, but then when I realized that what is my main, right, what am I looking to get out of it, then I started focusing my attention and my efforts in the selection tasks of the few student bodies which I really wanted to get into. So these are the kind of things. And one big thing is learn to say no, right? Because there will be hundreds of commitments, hundreds of, obviously your friends are going to call you out, ask you and all you. So you have to do spend time with them. But the most important thing is trying to understand what are you looking out of it, and trying to segregate and do the things that add value to you.
So in the first year where you don't have choice to choose your subjects, everyone is going through the same subjects. Do you feel that people with finance background have an edge over the other people?
Mm, yeah, I will agree to that, but I would like to just say something here that, like, hard work beats talent any day, right? So it's not like we are bringing a par, like just because of our CA credential or just because someone is good at finance, we're going to stream through it. Obviously, it's going to be easy because we have learned some of it or most of it previously. But I would say that talent is a hard work beats talent any day. So if someone else is putting in most of it, like, putting in efforts to learn something or do something, the results are obviously there to see. But yeah, I would agree with you.
So you were part of SAC. So tell us what exactly SAC does.
Sure. So SAC stands for Students Alumni Cell. Basically, this is one of the pillars, one of the pillar student bodies that we have in our college, which basically deals with all interactions between the students and the alumni. So we are like a bridge between the students and the alumni. Our main focus is to create a network, right? Like basically the extensive network of, like basically when people say the networking effect is the biggest learning you get in an MBA, our effort is to basically increase or fuel this network what we have between the alums and the students, so that the students take the maximum learning from these alums who already have industry experience, as well as the alum are in touch with the roots or with the college where they've passed out on, and it's a mutual benefit which happens to both these parties.
So again, you were the merit scholar, but again, you didn't go for the foreign exchange. So why so?
Yeah, that's a that's a good question, and I will probably regret, like looking back at it, I definitely regret not going to a forex. I would advise anyone, to definitely explore the opportunity if they get the chance. So honestly, the reason I didn't go for forex is basically I would, lose out my entire term five from spending that with my friends in college when I had joined an MBA. Basically, for one of the reasons was also to get a college life. Secondly, there is this rule in IMK at least that you cannot be a part of any student body if you're going for forex. So I had already gotten into SAC, the Student Alumni Cell, and that kind of limited my opportunities going abroad. I also wanted to be more involved in the academics part, and in the second year I had more time for that as well. So these are a few reasons which I didn't choose forex for. But my advice to everyone will be to definitely explore it given the chance.
So later on, you got a shortlist from the Bain during your summer internship and ended up getting a PPO. So let's talk about that and like what Bains look into a candidate for giving a shortlist.
Sure. I'll give you a more general answer about what consulting firms look for in your CV, right? So now the IMK CV, at least, we have four sections in that, right? So we have the academic achievements part of it. Then we have the work experience. Then we have something called certifications and internships and projects. And then you have your extracurricular activities. So these are the four broad segments into which our CV is distributed. Now, a consulting firm And the most important part, we have something called spike points, which come above these four layers. So spike points are like your LinkedIn bio, right? Which where you want to highlight all your like your major achievements in these four terms or in these four points. So now when a consulting company is looking to hire you, they basically are trying to see if you have that all-round profile, right? They're trying to see if you're able to manage multiple stuff, not only at this stage in your life, but have you been trying to do it previously? Having said that, like it's not discouraging, like it's not going to be a sudden thing that someone who has not done cannot get into consulting, but they try to look for a more balanced profile where each of these segments have good content filled in them, as well as those spike points which really stand out. These spike points could range from anything like a national sports player to having represented India in some like for your school or college, for your model United Nation, having these international exposures, and obviously having a good academic background in the past definitely helps. So consulting companies basically look for these things when shortlisting your profile, because what consulting is all about is interacting with people. And like just to put in a simple sentence, what is consulting, right? So a consulting is basically you sharing your expertise and understanding through a research to a client to help them improve the business performance, right? So this is basically what a consulting company does. So when me as a person is going and consulting that company or giving my advice to the company, they obviously want to know whether you have been, an all-rounder or you are having good capabilities to be able to do this.
Moreover, I think that consulting is more about dealing with the pressure and being a high performer. So your academic background, okay, so it is a proof of that since you have achieved high scores during your whole lifetime. So it's a proof that you have been a high performer. Moreover, apart from acads, if you have these awards in sports or in other activities, shows that apart from academics, you are a high performer in other domains of your life. So that's what is required, especially in the big three in the MBB. So that's what I think they look for.
That is, yeah, I mean, see, it's kind of true. One thing is, as I said, it shows them that you can manage various things, right? So you're not very, you're not stuck into one field and all. You're able to manage other stuff along with this thing. And the pressure part, what you're talking about, the pressure part of it, I think, is more personal, right? Because a client or someone, when you say for that matter, he's not going to understand what you're going through and all. He wants, like, end of the day, they want the result delivered, right? So they basically want to see, so because see, consistency is key, right? So I think consistency will beat talent, or will consistency will eat your talent and everything for breakfast. So if you're able to have that consistency in your life, I think that really sorts out a lot of things in your life.
So how it was working at Bain?
Oh, yeah. So my summer internship with Bain was it spread over 8 weeks, right? So generally summer internship happens between the first and second years of an MBA. So in the 8 weeks, basically Bain has two broad practices, right? So we have something called GP, which is general practice, and we have something called PEG, the private equity group. So these are like the two broad categories which Bain caters to. So I was plotted into the private equity group. So my project was basically, it was a commercial due diligence where we had to evaluate a company in the real estate space. So basically we had to advise our client whether they should go ahead and put an investment, or give venture debt funding to this particular client. So I felt in Bain the work streams are very structured, right? So the team was divided into like two different work streams. There was WS1 and WS2, and then each work stream was given a particular part of the scope. So the scope is basically the document which is decided between the client and Bain, saying that these are the kind of services we will deliver upon. So the scope was clearly demarcated between both the work streams, and it was very smooth. So we used to have daily catch-up calls every day morning before starting out the work to decide what will be the course of action, and we used to touch base at the end of the day to see how far, how much we've achieved out of that, and what is the next steps to be done. So that way, I felt the communication was very structured. And at the same time, one very good thing about Bain is the culture. which a lot of people talk about, right? So they really value the employee's time. They try to ensure that you have proper work-life balance and all that. Like, and the reason I say they value culture a lot is because we have something called an NPS score, right? So what happens every Friday, we are given a form to fill. This form basically is like we anonymously rating about how we felt the work was during that time, who among the team performed the best, what do you think can be improved. And on Monday or Tuesday we have a call, half an hour call to discuss this NPS score, and then the partners actually see how they can implement stuff to make our work more easier. So that is why when they say that, you know, the culture at Bain is really strong and really good, it's facts, it's pure facts.
So what I
So
feel is,
anyway, let me tell you
yeah, sure.
sure, go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead.
continue.
Yeah, no, I'll just tell you a bit more about the project, how it was divided. So basically, my project started and ended in the time I was there. So I think that's a blessing in disguise, because there have been a few of my peers and colleagues who got plotted in projects which have been running from the past 2 years, right? So it is not possible for them to understand the entire nuance of the project in such a short period of 2 months. Now, coming to consulting projects, there are two angles to it. There is one part called strategy, there's one part called implementation. Now, strategy is the part where you devise a plan and, you know, formulate a plan of action and suggest it to the client. Implementation is a longer gestation period where you actually ensure that this plan is implemented in the company. So I was luckily involved in a strategy project which is more fast paced, has a shorter turnaround time, and has, like, you know, like the deliverables are much the expectations are much more in terms of the deliverables. So my entire project began and ended in 6 weeks. So the first 3 weeks we spent on the industry understanding, on the market understanding, where we try to identify whether this market is actually booming, whether there is salience in this market, that is growth in the market, and like who are the players and all in this market. That was the analysis in the first 3 months, first 3 weeks. The second 3 weeks basically involved us doing a competitive benchmarking, right? To see what the other players in this industry are doing and whether the target which our client had mentioned to us is that investable or not. So this was how the 6 weeks were divided.
So basically, how exactly it's done? So are there any specific frameworks, or are there specific tools which you use to do this benchmarking and competitive analysis?
Yes. So, one main word which at least the entry level people into consulting should know is research, right? Tons of research. Now, let us break down this research. Now, there are two forms of research which happens, right? Where there's a primary research and there's a secondary research. Now, what generally happens is we all start off with secondary research, where, say, for example, Bain, right? So, in Bain, we have a database of tools and resources where we can go look for topics, look for articles, journals on the topics we are researching for, and then we do a broad read through of it. Apart from that, there are also various free sources available on Google, where by typing in the right keywords, you get access to a lot of such documents and articles which are related to your field. Now, secondly, the other part is the primary research. So here is where we use we use someone called experts. So there are a lot of expert calls that we get into. Now, this can be both by, you know, cold calling on LinkedIn, finding correct contacts on LinkedIn and all, and there are agencies as well which supply these experts. So we speak with a lot of these experts, and then we benchmark the figures, right? So we speak to multiple people. We try to create a range of values, what we feel is the right range by talking to so many people, and then we suggest that to the client. Now, apart from this research, this is where the real value of a consultant comes out, is how you interpret that research, right? Because data to koi bhi de sakta hai. Like, anyone can give you a ton of data and say read it, do what you want, but what differentiates a consultant from others is the way they analyze and interpret that research. Because your thinking, your bird's eye view thinking of it, understanding the entire problem and not being too narrow minded, that is what will create that value add for your client, and that is what they're paying money for.
So we have heard that there are very hectic working hours in consulting. So is that true, or it's just a myth?
No, no, it's definitely not a myth. So there is a glamorous side of consulting, which includes the travel, you know, the fancy hotels, the, you know, understanding different client needs. But honestly, there is also the work-life balance is going to take a slight hit, because, you know, in terms of the number of hours, as I said, the low turnaround times, you'll have to put in more effort. But what I would suggest people is think of it as a learning process, at least in your initial years, right? So it's we are not doing monotonous routine work here. You're getting to learn each and every day by your interactions with all these people. So at least when we are starting off and when the clients are more sector agnostic, right? You're dealing with clients across sectors. I think we should take it as an opportunity and try to learn as much as possible. And at the same time, I think work-life balance is important, and the company is definitely trying to, at least for Bain, for example, is trying to do a lot to bring that balance into play. But you should definitely consider what is your bandwidth, right? So it doesn't mean that we give our entire day or entire weeks for the company. At the same time, you need to focus on building yourself as well. So see what is that balance. If it's becoming inconvenient, definitely go up and speak to the higher ups. They will propose a solution because they have been in your role in the past. So always have that candid and open conversation. It really helps.
So you end up getting PPO from the Bain. So what should one keep in mind while doing the summer internship at Bain so that he or she can get the PPO?
Yeah. So I'll tell you how the review process in Bain is structured, right, for the summer internship. So there are three metrics on which they evaluate you. So first, there is something called the midterm review, which happens 1 month into your Bain journey. Then the other two components happen at the end of the Bain journey, which is your case team feedback, which is basically what your team you work on thinks about you in terms of how you're performing. And the third one is the end term review. So now the majority portion, or I would say the major weightage of this comes at the midterm review stage. Where so midterm review, what happens is you basically present your work which you have done in that 1 month in a few slides, say 3 or 4 slides. You present it to a panel, and then they have questions about what the work you're doing, how much you've understood and all that, and you kind of have a back and forth with them. So the midterm review kinds of sets the trajectory for your case team feedback and your end term, because that kind of helps you evaluate, are you going on the right track. So there's a lot of weightage given to the midterm review, with the end term review and all just being a course correction, I would say. And then the other important part, as I mentioned, is a case team feedback. So here is where our interactions with the team, both personal and professional, brings out, because see, working is not just about being good at your work, right? You also need to have the personal connection or the personal touch with all of them, which makes them want to work with you, right? So that doesn't come with having the most knowledge. That comes with having, I would say, empathy. That comes with yeah, having that, understanding of what I am doing currently. Is it helping my person? So there used to be one important thing which they said: try to be the arm, try to be the arm of your immediate senior, right? They should feel that you're basically easing out a load for them or easing a burden for them. So if they feel you're doing that, then definitely more than surely you'll be getting a PPO in most of the cases.
So for the people who got into Bain from Kozhikode, so their joining date got extended to January, and I guess it's similar for same case for you. So like, what exactly are you doing right now?
Yeah, so it was an unfortunate situation this time because of the market. I think the most of the consulting firms have deferred or delayed their joining. One thing that I would suggest most people to do right now is definitely internships is a good option to begin with. So me myself, I'm working with this with a in a strategy intern role in a company. So this kinds of also helps me understand and set up base to where I want to go in pay. So try to find relatable internships, relatable opportunities. Apart from that, like just build up your skills, right? You want to say you wanted to do some certification, you wanted to do some training or something on Coursera, Udemy, whatever. So there are a lot of consulting courses, there are a lot of strategic management courses which one can pursue. And apart from that, I would say just have fun. Like anyway, once the work starts, it's going to, as you said, it's going to be long hours. So just try to travel, relax a bit and all that. So it's up to you.
So MBA was your like authentic college life. Before that, since you were doing CA, so you didn't have an opportunity to enjoy your college life. So what are the major takeaways from your MBA life?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like this also will help people understand, why they want to do an MBA, right? So for me, after the 2 years, when I reflect back upon my MBA journey, the first things will be the friendships and the networks, right? So this is something which I will take away, and this was going to be till the end of my corporate journey and beyond that as well, because I just being 6 months out of college, I can already see the impact that having that network or having that connect with an alum can take you. There have been so many of my friends also who have gotten or shifted jobs or who got into new jobs because of this network and because of the alumni connection. So that is definitely one. Second thing, as I mentioned, is the interactions with people from various domains, various fields, right? So we have had doctors, we have had engineers, we have had lawyers and CAs, CFAs. So we have all these people put in a room and having to, discuss about a topic. So when my understanding would be very narrow in from the finance angle or say some strategy angle, I get that diverse range of opinions, a diverse set of opinions. That is a key takeaway again for me. And thirdly is obviously the MBA, the IIM tag. For us, I think that, as is mentioned, it opens up a lot of doors for us. So that kind of helps us get into domains that we would not have got the access to. So these would be the key takeaways for me.
So thank you, Harshit, for being with us. I believe that your experience would be very helpful for the people who are looking forward to join consulting and moreover MBA in the coming years.
Definitely, Abhinav. Yeah, I hope that it would have helped people. And yeah, I mean, we are always, as a alumni, we can say, right? So once an MBA will always be there to help other people who want to get into the MBA field. So yeah, good job. Great job that you're doing for them, community.